I want to start by talking about an exposure. Sometimes some people don't want to be one, or they don't want to be included. By definition, the sitra achra is a negated entity, as in it is a cohesion formed of the non-not beingness, and other and opposite to what it is, what exists. In other words, we can learn to trust that those who auto-exclude have a good reason for needing to be on the margin to exist. In order to exist, they have to be on the margin. They automatically exclude. Okay, I want to talk about from Chovos halevovos, which is by Rabbeinu bacheya ibn pekuda, duties of the heart. There's human divided into three classes in the Torah, and this is the third treatise, the third gate. There's 10 gates. One is the commanded, and 1a, and then that includes duties of the heart. These are grounded in genuine faith and are the acceptance of the unity of God, being wholeheartedly with Him, trusting in Him, surrendering to Him, accepting His decrees and believing in His prophets and in His law, revering Him, keeping His commandments, meditating on His wondrous deeds and examining His beneficence, and many more duties of the same character, too numerous to set forth in detail. And 1b, it includes duties that involve devotion of the heart together with physical activities like consistency in speech and thought, reading and studying the book of the Torah, praying, fasting, giving charity, resting from labor on Shabbos and festivals, building a sukkah tabernacle, taking a lulav and the 3 other plants on sukkos, wearing tzitzis, and similar precepts. Then we have 2. The Torah is divided into 3. It doesn't divide humans. I said it divides human actions into 3 classes. So the first was the obligations. Then we have second is prohibitions. These are duties of the heart. 2a. First would be duties of the heart, associating with which would, for example, associating with God either secretly or by flattery, loving to do that which God has forbidden, pride, haughtiness, arrogance, contempt for human beings, mocking the prophets and the messages they utter which come from God, abhorring good and those who do good, finding pleasure in evildoers, jealousy, covetousness, desiring to hurt other human beings, resentment at the Creator's decrees, and many sentiments and emotions of a similar character. And 2b, we have actions, for example, revealed association with anyone but God, false swearing, eating forbidden food, lying, forbidden relations, tale-bearing, bloodshed, and many other offenses of a similar nature. Then we have 3 permissible. 3a, these are this is things that are sufficient, which is sufficient is that which is there's 3 permissibles. One is sufficient, would be in the permissible category. We would say it could be what is sufficient for you is that which is indispensable for preservation of the body or management of one's affairs: food, clothing, drink, a covering or shelter. You would say necessary speech in conducting one's business and activities and commercial transactions, and all kinds of physical movements and their proper employment to the extent needed for the proper maintenance of one's welfare. And 3b would be superfluous. This is crossing the border into what one has no need for, such as excess food and drink, extravagance in personal adornment and dress, and luxurious homes, and superfluity in speech, excess sexual relations, or striving for large possessions and accumulation of money. All of these, which are for the improvement and enjoyment of the body, transform in the end to evil because they mislead one to what the Creator has warned us against, and they cause one to stumble. 3c is what is deficient. And we have, this is when you're denying yourself what is sufficient in food, drink, clothing, sexual relations, speech, sleep, or one's occupation, where he obtains what he needs and requisites. 3c, we have 1. If motivated by piety, longing for nearer and closer communion with God, by asceticism, it is laudable and will be rewarded to be in deficiency. However, if it's 3c2, if it's motivated by worldly considerations, namely to increase his money or be praised as one who abstains from what is permitted and takes less food from the world than he needs, it's reprehensible, for then one departs from the middle way and robs his body of its needs, coming from an excessive love of this world. But still, being sparing in specifically speech and sleep is actually praiseworthy. Whatever is not in the category of permitted sufficient and is done for the sake of Hashem, even though it's superfluous or deficient, is in the category of what is commanded, and whatever is not in the permitted sufficient and is superfluous deficient and not done for the God's sake, it is in the category of forbidden, since what is sufficient, a livelihood, is also included in the commandment, be fruitful and multiply, fill the land and conquer it, as it says in Genesis Bereshis 1:28. And in the next verse 1:29, it says, I've given you every herb bearing seed, to you it to you it shall be for food. Sufficiency also belongs to the class of the commanded. Thus, all human activities are really either in the category of what's commanded or in the category of what's prohibited. Abstaining from prohibitions out of fear of God is righteous. Doing what is commanded is a good deed. doing what's permitted in a proper and right way, he's righteous. Exceeding the sufficient and falling short of duty by denying oneself what's sufficient. Exceeding the sufficient is falling short of duty, and by denying oneself what is sufficient when he's in a position to obtain it, when his aim is to train himself in the service of God and to reign over his lust, to come near to God or separate himself from this world and direct his attentions to the better world hereafter, is righteous and good conduct. If he does deny himself not for the sake of God, he falls short in the fulfillment of his duty and has reprehensible conduct. I want to share from ACA, who's adult children of alcoholics, but it doesn't only have to be alcoholics, it could be adult children of dysfunctional families. The toolkit that is said is managing takeovers, grief, family of origin work, service, step work, and this is a 12-step program. So 12 steps: mentor, sponsor, fellow travelers, play and fun, physical movement, literature, mirror work, journal, reparenting, checking in, inventory, mindfulness, prayer, surrender, acceptance, meditation. ACA feelings when the needs are not met could be sad, which is lonely, heavy, hopeless, gloomy or grief, overwhelmed, distant, dismayed, discouraged, distressed, disheartened, disappointed. And it's good to know these because a lot of us who grew up in dysfunctional homes, there was a lot of dysfunctional ways to avoid and not feel feelings. Then we have scared, which could be, it's good to learn new words also if we're not used to this. Afraid, fearful, terrified, startled, nervous, panicky, jittery, horrified, anxious, lonely, skeptical, suspicious. I would say sad could be feeling like lonely, scared could be feeling like obsessive, confused, okay, perplexed, hesitant, troubled, torn, worried. For me, it might be unclear, tired. We have exhausted, lethargic, weary, overwhelmed, withdrawn. And I'm thinking also heavy. Then we have mad, which is angry, annoyed, exasperated, agitated, furious, enraged, hostile, bitter, resentful, disgusted, frustrated. And I would say like at capacity. Overwhelmed, uneasy, we have uncomfortable, pain, hurt, miserable, guilty. And I would say it feels out of alignment. Yeah. ACA, there's 12 promises. And actually what I got, these 12 promises especially, they're not exactly the 12 promises exactly the way every other ACA meeting might have it, but there are some ACA meetings which specifically cater to people who feel they survived religious abuse. And they take certain words that remind people of a kind of God that made them feel less connected rather than more connected, maybe because of the religious abuse or whatever the person survived because of religious reasons. In their upbringing, their family may have been dysfunctional in also a religious way. So these 12 promises are from RAS edition, Religious Abuse Survivors edition of ACA. 1, we will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. Our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. Fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. Our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. As we face our abandonment issues, we'll be attracted by strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. We will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. We will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. We'll choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. Healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. Fear of failure and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. With help from our ACA support group, we'll slowly release our dysfunctional choices. Gradually, with the help of others and our inner loving parent, we'll learn to expect the best and get it. What about ACA feelings when our needs are met? Glad, happy, excited, hopeful, joyful, satisfied, delighted, encouraged, confident, inspired, relieved, touched, proud, elated, I think pleased, thankful, grateful, appreciative, I think, feeling loved kind of. Peaceful, calm, content, expansive, serene, loving, blissful, clear, respected, think belonging, alignment, playful, energetic, invigorated, stimulated, alive, eager, enthusiastic, excited. I think I don't have anything to add to that one. I would say maybe curious, loving, warm, affectionate, tender, friendly, sensitive, compassionate, nurtured, trusting. So I would say I feel connected. And then what are some, ACA also lists, what are the universal needs? Trust, which in other words we would say safety, security, understanding, love, honesty, to matter, community, for play and fun, appreciation, freedom, meaning, and rest. Recognition, which is respect, validation, equality, reliability, predictability. Compassion, which is empathy, autonomy, choice, freedom, nurturance, comfort, warmth, and caring, self-expression, contribution, creativity, effectiveness, like to be effective, to be able to affect change or self-efficacy, growth and healing. intimacy, sharing, connection, companionship, support, and cooperation. Integrity, self-worth, authenticity, purpose, honesty, clarity, and celebration. Humor, passion, mourning, accountability, peace, ease, and beauty. And clarity, which is awareness and to be heard and to be seen. And I would like to stop here, and we'll continue tomorrow. All the best. Bye.